Hello and good afternoon. At long last, I'm able to do a live with you. Oh my goodness, it's been a really busy few weeks. As some of you know, I was preparing for Real Food Rocks and doing some cravings workshops at the weekend up there, which was quite a big deal actually because it's up in Ambleside where I am still right now, and preparing for the workshops, getting myself up there and getting myself organised, and doing some other work as well that I'm going to tell you guys about in a minute. Um, so, um, oh, hello, we've got somebody saying hello, I believe. Hi, Roz. Hi, darling. Sorry, I can't see anything without my glasses, so forgive me if I don't realise that you're watching live. Um, so, yes, it was quite a big deal actually organising getting up here. It was a big deal for me to do this as well. Hi, Sue. The Real Food Rocks was an amazing festival that, oh, Sue Cresswell. Hi, darling. Hi, I've just realised who you are. Hello, lovely to see you. It was a big festival. We had people like Ivor Cummings, Dr. David Unwin, we had the Caldezes, we had the Ice Cold Chef, we had Leafy.org, all kinds of really well-known names in the low carb world, in the ketogenic healthy eating world. So it was quite a big deal, and it was lovely to be invited to go and run workshops up there, and it was really, really well received. The cravings side of it, the cravings therapy, and you know, the way that I do things, if you like, it's quite novel, and something that a lot of the healthcare professionals hadn't really thought about. The part of it that is the bit that I really specialize in, you might say, is the sugar addiction, is the cravings, is the out of control bit, the shameful bit, you know, the sneaky eating your chocolate, your friends' chocolates when they're not looking, kind of a bit. So it was an interesting experience to go up and bring my part to it, but a big deal. So I have, as I say, been doing other things as well, and it did mean that the lives, my goodness me, they just got put off and off, and now I'm here. There is no signal. This place is so remote and gorgeously remote. But anyway, I found a way to be able to do the live in my B&B room. So the thing that I'd like to talk to you about today, and you can ask me questions while I'm actually on the live, and of course you can ask questions and put them in the comments below, and I'll get straight back to you as soon as I can, about macros, because I think macro counting is getting to be a really big deal now, and it is part of the deal, because ketogenic eating is now, whether the food industry, the weight loss industry like it or not, ketogenic eating is becoming more popular because it is so effective. It works and works and works, and the more people that start to enjoy this ketogenic eating and feel this power that they're having for themselves, the power over their own appetite, the power over their own weight loss, their own health, their own recovery, whether, you know, these industries like it or not, no matter what fake news they might put out, it is happening that people are eating ketogenically, and the whole movement is growing. So because of that, there will be all kinds of stuff out there, so beware of the fake news. I've already put in the group this morning about apparently now there's the terrible keto rash. Oh, for goodness sake, a couple of weeks ago there was keto crotch that somebody was worrying about. More fake news. I'm going to go into that a little bit more, I think, over the weeks. I'm going to debunk that a little bit more. The keto rash, really. I've never heard of it. In all the thousands of people that I've worked with now, I have never heard of the keto rash, or indeed the keto crotch. So don't worry about it, ladies. So back to what we were talking about with the macros. So this is part of it, really, is that some of it is, if you like, the fact that this is a new diet and a new bandwagon and a new fad. There are those companies that will try and use science to give you a sense of feeling insecure about your own journey, your own weight loss journey, and will want to jump onto the weight loss bandwagon. So this is the first part of it, and I'm not saying that it is all of it, but I have seen adverts out there, quite a few adverts that pop up on my newsfeed, and I'm sure if they do with me, then they do with other people as well, saying if you're not doing it this way, then you're going to do it wrong, and you're going to mess up your weight loss, and you're going to put weight on. I've actually seen another advert that says, women, if you're over 40, you must never do the ketogenic diet because of your hormones, and all kinds of adverts that are popping up saying that you need to do it this way, or you're going to do it very badly and it's going to go wrong for you. It's not so. It is absolutely not so. So that's not all of them, and I'm not dissing, you know, those out websites out there, and also, you know, there are organizations as well, and there's websites such as the Diet Doctor. They do talk about macros. And actually one website that I found that was called let me just have a look because I've written it down. It was a lovely looking website actually. Where are we? Somewhere. Ruled.me. So that is RULED, ruled.me. And they do a quick macro count for you. You can calculate your macros quite easily with them. They don't seem to be trying to blind you with science too much. And actually the thing about ruled.me is that they do say, you know, keep it simple, and this doesn't have to be a hard and fast rule, which is exactly the point. This is not a hard and fast rule. So the reason why I went into this way of helping people lose weight years ago was the fact that the ketogenic diet works, because it is a natural, absolutely integral appetite suppressant, and it is a very, very natural way of eating. So you don't need to count the calories or the sins or the points or the rest of it. And to be honest with you, you don't really need to count the macros. You really don't. The idea is that you keep it simple. You get back to how your body loves to eat. This is the whole power of what we're doing here, is the fact that we are keeping this simple, and we are keeping this easy to understand. We're getting away from all of that counting stuff, this blinding us with science and giving us this idea that we can't possibly know what to eat and lose weight. The experts, the scientists, are the only ones that are able to tell you what to eat and how to do it and how to lose weight successful. Not true. Not true at all. However, having said that, hi Nadine, hi love, nice to see you. Having said that, okay, so yes, the ketogenic diet is wonderful for giving you the chance to naturally know exactly what your appetite feels like and to drop back down into a natural appetite. Macros can help to a certain extent if you really are way out there. Okay, so breaking this down quite simply, I've calculated my macros to see what it would come up with. Interestingly, it is the way I'm eating already. How about that? And I reckon that if you calculated your macros, you'd realise that you weren't far off yourself. So the macros are, there's three nutrients that we need to count when taking the macros into account. You need to count your fats, your proteins, and your carbs. Okay, so those are the three nutrients that are the macro, that's the big nutrients. Okay, so we've got lots of micronutrients, such as vitamins and minerals and so on. The macronutrients are proteins, fats, and carbs. Okay, so bearing that in mind, the easy one to rule out straight away is carbs. Most macro counting sites that I've seen recommend you eat between about 20 to 25 grams of carbs a day, which is what I would recommend when you are on a weight loss phase and once you've really got into eating lower carb and really higher fat. It's easily done. Now, the best way to calculate that is to just have your 5 a day. To have your 5 a day of the low carb veg and berries and so on that you love to eat, and your salads. So you could have a portion of strawberries for your breakfast, which would be, say, a handful of strawberries, some salad for your lunch, green salad for your lunch, half an avocado, and then say a tablespoon of cauliflower and a tablespoon of broccoli for your tea. Your 5 a day. So that's 25 grams, between 20 and 25 grams of carbs. Job done. A few grams of carbs here or there aren't going to break the bank. And also, once you've got that as a guideline and you know what that feels like and you know what that looks like as a portion in your meals, you'll find it very easy to stick to. Once you get down to that kind of level, that's what feels comfortable as well. And that's also what your appetite feels comfortable with. Once you're eating 20 to 25 grams of carbs, over the space of a few weeks, as your body chemistry changes, as your stomach shrinks, that feels like an acceptable amount of carbs. And more than that, you don't like the feeling. Okay, so again, you're listening to your body. So the carbs are easy. Now, the interesting one, I think, and the one that most people are interested in is the proteins and the amount of protein that you need in a day. Most of the sensible, I might say sensible, keto macro counting sites recommend that you use the higher amount of protein, not the lower. As tempting as it might be to go really low with your protein, you need your proteins. You absolutely need them for all kinds of reasons. Your proteins just do so many jobs, and as long as you're not really pigging out on the protein, it won't create glycation. Your liver won't turn it into glucose. But the amount that it will turn into glucose is just the amount that your body will need. All right, you have to really, really overdo the protein before you go out of your range. So as it happens, the way that I calculated on, it was on ruled.me actually, where I did the calculation. So by all means, use that site if you want to. I needed about 105 grams of protein a day, roughly, which works out to about 30 grams of protein a meal-ish. Maybe a little bit more, say 35 grams of protein, which works out to about 3 large hard-boiled eggs, or a nice big fat piece of salmon, or well, more likely for me would be a piece and a half of salmon, or a nice big fat steak, or for breakfast, bacon, eggs and mushrooms, you know, a couple of slices of bacon, a couple of eggs and a tablespoon of mushrooms. Okay, so that works out to be roughly the amount of protein that I need in a day, which is exactly what feels right for me. Now, here's the thing. If you eat more protein than you need by a mile, you will feel so full for so long that you will not like the feeling. So again, you can use your body as a way to figure that out. You know when you've eaten too much protein, because protein is so dense and so heavy that when you eat lots and lots of it, it sits in your belly for hours and you feel like you've eaten a brick. It's not the same as eating too many carbs. It's not that bloaty kind of a feeling. It's like literally you have just filled yourself so full of this really, really heavy substance that you just feel filled for hours and hours and hours. You don't do it more than a few times before you realize that you don't like that feeling. Again, your body is giving you that feedback. She's letting you know you've eaten too much protein. If you want to be very scientific about it, and if you really, really want to count the macros and you want to count the amount of protein, as I say, go to ruled.me and have a look. It bears in mind your BMI as well. My BMI is about 25%, something like that. So bearing that in mind, and my weight, we're looking at about 20 to 25 grams of protein. But then, of course, that depends what I'm doing in a day. If I'm doing loads in a day, then I need more protein. Now, the funny thing is, again, coming back to my body. So yesterday, if you saw on my personal page, I went off and climbed 3 mountains yesterday, 4 mountains, 4 summits yesterday. God, did I need my protein. I was absolutely craving the protein. And I had fish, and I had peanut butter, and I had cheese, and all kinds of stuff last night. Just absolutely couldn't get enough of the protein. I was stuffed by bed. So that, again, is my body telling me that I needed more protein. We need more protein as we get older for women. It helps with your muscle mass. It helps with your metabolism. It helps you to keep your muscle mass, especially as we go into the menopause. And it helps your enzyme production, which actually helps with your hormonal levels as well. So all kinds of reasons why protein for women is really important. It helps you to keep your strength. So if you're going to calculate your protein levels, look at the upper level. You'll be fine, even if weight loss might be slightly slower, because knock out protein and you'll absolutely go into really deep ketosis, but there will be a price to pay. There will be a price to pay, and your body will suffer because of that. You're much better going in at a gentle rate that feels sustainable, that becomes that lifestyle change rather than that diet feeling. You're actually not denying yourself. You're not in starvation state particularly. You're in just a nice place where you're gradually and gently knocking down those pounds. What you might do, and this is what I do quite regularly when I feel like I need to drop a few pounds, is have kind of like a skinny week where I'll have the skinny days, and then I will really, really knock down the carbs. Keep up the proteins, knock down the carbs. So keeping your proteins at a kind of a comfortable level for yourself means that you will not feel hungry as well. Remember, being satiated is the biggest part of this diet, because that helps you to switch over your mindset from thinking about what to eat when you're hungry to realizing that you don't really get to the point where you're either, you get to the point where you're actually hungry, properly hungry, thinking about what you eat, and then satisfying your appetite, and then just not being hungry for a long, long time. This is very different from the ordinary high carb way of eating, where you're constantly, what can I eat, battling with that kind of what's in the cupboards and all the rest of it, feeling really bloated, and then not really knowing what real hunger feels like, not going back to absolutely empty before you eat again. This way of eating is more about your tummy feels empty, you eat, and then you forget about it. And it's not like being full, and it's not like you're looking for the food anymore, you're not thinking about it anymore. It's like the absence of something, which can be quite strange. When we have the absence of something, we just don't notice it anymore. This is the absence of appetite. You're just done. You're just not hungry for hours and hours. And this is what the protein will do for you. Now, here's the interesting thing about the fats. As long as you are eating your protein with the natural fats added to it, so that's whether that's the high-fat yogurts, whether that is the high-fat creams, your salmon with your skin on, your pork chop with your crackle in, your bacon with the fat, all of that, mushrooms cooked in butter, coconut oil with everything. As long as you are having a natural, what feels like a natural amount of fats with that protein, you know what that feels like already. It's about 30% in calories. It's about 30% more than your actual protein levels. But you know what that feels like. You already feel that. So as you see, as I say, your protein comes with its own added intrinsic fats, if you like, when it's eaten naturally. So that natural protein amount with your dinner, with the fats attached, you've got your fats covered. So as far as all three of those nutrients is concerned, your carbs, you just think about having your 5 a day of the lower carb variety, obviously, the really, really complex carb variety. Your proteins, you're looking at about so say for me it was about 105 grams a day, and that was really what I was eating already. A piece and a half of salmon, or a nice big fat big pork chop, probably even 1.5, maybe 2 or 3 chicken thighs, all with the skin on, or a couple of boiled eggs with half an avocado and some mushrooms in butter for breakfast. So you can see how these naturally have their fats with them. Nothing else required. So that's you counting your macros. And for me, I have to say, this is as scientific as I'm going to get with it, because I think what we need to do is have some faith in ourselves and our own appetite. We have to have faith in the fact that, okay, there is a science there, but we don't need to know it. We don't need to know the science. We truly don't. All we need to know is what our body is telling us. Over time, I know that eating in this way and using the tools that I give you, especially the tools for knocking out sugar addiction and so on, that I give you on a regular basis, and knocking out, that old diet and denial thinking style, the deeper you go into this, the more you listen to your body and the more you trust your body. And this is why, because this is a natural way of doing things. So you're not trying to force your body to do anything that she doesn't want to do. You're doing the opposite. You are reconnecting back to your body's own natural instincts, her own natural processes. And there's a big faith in that. There's a big trust in that. And there's a big relief in letting go of all of that. Somebody else telling you how to do this because you don't know how to do it right. Of course you know how to do it right. Do you think a baby isn't born knowing how to do it right? Of course they are. The baby doesn't ask you whether they've had enough yet. They'll tell you. They'll be off. No, I don't want any more. Milk dribbling down the chin. I'm done. And the same with little ones as well. They're drawn to the foods that their body is telling them that it wants. So yes, by all means, if you want to count the macros, but I think as with anything, I would just count them and then forget it. Once you've got an idea of what it looks like on your plate, once you've got an idea of what it looks like in a day, forget it. If you are stalling with your weight loss, then there are lots of things that we can do. Obviously, there are lots and lots of things that we can do, either to help you to move along to that next level, or to help you to, understand why you might be stalling and why that might have happened. But basically, once you've got an idea of what these macros are, and I do mean it to be a rough idea, then move on as much as you possibly can. Just remember something: the map is not the territory. Okay, the science and the advice is not the weight loss. So don't even think about testing all of this. There are lots of different ways you can don't worry about the test. And that's why I get a bit dubious with keto sticks, to be honest with you, because we sometimes feel like, oh, if that keto stick says that I'm in the dark purple, then I'm losing weight. Not necessarily so, not at all. It just tells you how many ketones are in your wee at that particular moment. So because the map is not the territory, the experience of losing weight has to come back to how it feels, not what anything on the outside tells you, whether that is the experts or whatever those measurements might be. The only experience can be how you feel in yourself. This is why this works and works, because you're getting faith back in yourself, aren't you? And trust back in yourself again. How nice does that feel? You can move on, go and do something more interesting instead with your day. What a lovely feeling. That's what it's all about. So if you've got any questions about this, please do. You can ask me either now while I'm actually here on the live, or you can post your comments and your questions in the thread underneath. I'd be really interested to see what you think. If you do count your macros, then I'd really, really interested to hear your own experience of it. I mean, I'm just telling you my own humble opinion of what I believe to be the power and the disadvantages of counting your macros. But if you've got your own stories to tell of the advantages of it, then I'd be really interested to hear it, and what your levels are and how that has worked out for you, by all means. So yes, taking away from this, the summary is, as far as counting your macros is concerned, they are a part of it if you choose them to be, but you're already naturally probably doing that without realizing it. There are quite wide ranging limits. Look for a site that you trust if you really must do your counting, and ignore all those bloody scare adverts that are out there that are telling you that you're doing it wrong. You're not. You're doing great. Have a good day.